All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really powerful framework called Storage Policy-Based Management, or SBPM. It is all about bringing smart, simple automation to your storage. You ready to see how it all works? Okay, let's get into it.
But first, let me ask you a question. Does managing your storage ever feel like you're just stuck in the past? If you're constantly fighting with these complex configurations, trying to match every single application's needs to specific hardware, well, you are definitely not alone.
I mean, look at this. On the left, that's the old way. It's manual, it's complex, and it's just plain inefficient. It's a real headache. But on the right, that's the new way. Automated, simple, and totally optimized. This really is a complete shift in how we think about storage.
Think about it like this. Imagine you're a librarian in a massive library, right? And 1,000 people all walk in at the same time, and every single one of them needs a very specific, unique book. Trying to find every single one by hand, it would be incredibly slow, super frustrating, and you'd absolutely make some mistakes along the way. Well, that's pretty much the nightmare of traditional manual storage management. So what's the answer to this management nightmare? Well, it's a framework called Storage Policy-Based Management, or SPBM for short. And this, right here, is where things get really, really cool.
So at its heart, SPBM is basically a control plane for all of your storage. What it does is it lets you, the administrator, stop worrying about all those tiny little low-level hardware settings. Instead, you get to define what your applications actually need. Things like a certain performance level or data protection. And you just bake those requirements right into a simple policy.
And what's so incredible about this is that it acts like a universal translator. See, your application has very specific needs, but it doesn't speak the same language as all your different storage hardware. SPBM is that perfect go-between, translating those high-level needs into specific commands that the storage arrays actually understand and can act on, like instantly.
And this just brilliantly shows the real magic here. It's all about abstraction. SPBM basically hides all the complicated vendor-specific hardware details from you. So what does that mean? It means you get to focus on the big picture. What does my app need to succeed, instead of getting lost down in the technical weeds of RAID levels and LUN configurations?
Okay, so let's dig in. How does this translator actually work its magic? Well, it all boils down to a surprisingly simple 4-step process that connects what an app needs to where it's going to live. So it all kicks off when an admin defines a policy in vCenter, basically picking from a menu of capabilities. Then, the storage arrays advertise what they can do using something called a VASA provider. You can just think of it as a communication bridge that lets the storage talk directly to vCenter. After that, you just associate that policy with a virtual machine, and then here comes the magic. SPBM automatically finds a compatible data store and provisions the VM with the exact services it requires. It's just a perfect, seamless handshake from beginning to end.
Now let's talk about the big payoff. Let's get into the real-world benefits, because honestly, why this all matters is just as important as how it all works.
And the benefits here are just huge. We're talking about radically simplified management across your entire environment. We're talking about powerful, reliable automation, much smarter resource optimization. You get granular per-application control. And finally, you get perfect alignment between what your workloads need and what your storage actually delivers.
I mean, just look at the impact of automation on this chart. It's incredible. What might have taken, say, 100 tedious manual steps before can now be done in 10. That frees up an enormous amount of time for admins to stop putting out fires and start focusing on the projects that really matter.
And let's talk about efficiency for a second, because resource optimization is an absolute game changer. By perfectly matching your storage resources to your application needs, you completely eliminate waste. Think about it. No more over-provisioning your most expensive, high-performance storage for an app that simply doesn't need it. Every single dollar is spent way more effectively. So, what's the crucial point here? If you're going to take one big thing away from this whole shift to policy-based management, what should it be?
It's this. SBBM represents a fundamental shift in your mindset. You're no longer just a manager of physical hardware. You actually become a provider of services for your applications. Your focus moves way up the stack, from the plumbing to the purpose. And that, my friends, is a much more strategic and valuable place to be.
And that leaves us with one final, kind of provocative thought. Once you make your storage this intelligent, it forces you to look around and ask yourself, what's next? If your storage can be this smart, what other part of your environment is ready for a similar revolution?